Our eyes have seen more sexual material and nudity than any other generation in human history. Our ears are exposed to foul music, language, and propaganda wherever we go. Our stomachs are graveyards of animals that were suffocated, tortured, and pumped full of chemicals. Our clothes are produced by blood, sweat, and tears of children forced into labor. Our tax money goes to death and destruction overseas, or to produce mountains of garbage that poison the earth. The rest of our money fuels the corporations and banks that commit every injustice imaginable. And you're here thinking, why did she block me? And she's thinking, why didn't he text back? Yeah, this generation is cooked. The truthful are being mocked and laughed at, while the liars are being worshipped as false gods. That's what we've come to as a generation, and we need to admit that. But I didn't record this video to tell you how hopeless things are. I recorded this video to tell you that despite this sea of hopelessness that we're drowning in, there truly is hope. Most of you watching this video are Gen Z, just like myself. I too once dreamt of the luxurious life, getting a well-paying job, doing something I love, marrying a beautiful woman, and settling in a peaceful countryside with my wife and kids. But then I think to myself, can I truly let this go? Can I let this be someone else's problem? I mean, is there even going to be any escape from this satanic onslaught, no matter where I go? Can we just stand by and watch as people suffer and die every day to this filthy system imposed on us? We're sitting here watching cheating become normalized, teenagers losing their virginity, and suicide rates going off the charts. These monsters hiding in the top echelon of society are already printing money out of thin air, isolating us by destroying the nuclear family, and then massaging these degenerate desires into us with pornography and social media, keeping us addicted and tired like rats on a wheel. And as soon as you break free from those clutches, they set up class warfare for anyone who tries to use their critical thinking. You'll either fall into the gender wars of red pill versus feminism, or you'll fall into left wing versus right wing, or any other manufactured class war. Any human being that has risen above all of this has come to the same conclusion. Without God, what are we except guides to our own destruction? And with this conclusion, God has tested these servants with a level of cancellation that were previously unheard of. But this video isn't about those that broke free. It's about you and what you can do about it. It starts with you looking at the systems and forces that are shaping your thoughts, your actions, and your desires, and then questioning them and where they came from. Learning the history about how these monsters ripped you out of the world of order and reason, throwing you into a world of chaos, class warfare, and degeneracy. And for you to realize all of this, it starts with one action: to read. I mean, do you have any idea the sheer amount of information that you will never find in a YouTube video or a lecture that is recorded in these books? Let me just give you a taste. The ex-CIA agent John F. Perkins wrote a book called The Confessions of an Economic Hitman, where he explained how he economically enslaved third world countries for America, namely Ecuador, Panama, and Indonesia. He lays out the entire blueprint on how America pulls this off, and then uses those countries to vote for their interests in the UN councils. Then there's the book, Game of Nations, written by CIA founding member Miles Copeland. He talks about the methodology he and other elites use to orchestrate coups, sabotage governments, and carry out assassinations. In fact, he has a whole chapter on recruiting young Muslims as terrorists for the CIA. And one of the most influential books of the past century is Orientalism, written by 𝗟𝗘𝗧'𝗦, which exposes the entire field of academia that was responsible for characterizing the East as barbaric, backwards, and dangerous. I mean, they were literally rewriting history as we know it, and repainting the entire image of the eastern half of the world. After this book was published by 𝗟𝗘𝗧'𝗦, all the universities around the world shut down their faculties for Orientalism, and it no longer became a subject of profession for undergraduates. This is some insane history. Probably never heard about it. And there's so much more. The book titled Propaganda, written by Edward Bernays, where he explains how he was hired by the United States of America during World War I to convince the civilian population to support the war effort. He was also hired by the Rockefeller family to capitalize their oil interests. He was hired by Disney to turn Disneyland into the greatest American tourist spot. And then he wrote this book on how to shape public opinion and manipulating the masses through media and communication techniques in what he calls propaganda, which to him is just another word for public relations. I can go on and on, book after book, none of which have been updated and recorded as YouTube videos. When you open these books, you truly realized how much was kept in the dark, how everything in this new world order came to be, and most importantly, you begin to understand what the solution is. And here's a hint. It's not humanitarian aid or protesting to change foreign policy, like most of these neoliberals would claim. But you'll figure this stuff out very quickly when you take the initiative to read. Read, read, read. But understand that knowledge comes with moral imperative. Those who know but don't act are not the same as those who don't know and don't act in the sight of God. Remember this sentence and live by it. With great knowledge comes great responsibility. I know not everyone will read books because it truly is difficult, and those who want to start don't know where to start. They require recommendations depending on their interests, and I have something for both categories. Firstly, if you're allergic to reading books and you watch videos only, I have cinematic documentary style videos breaking down modern forces that are destroying our lives and how we can deal with them. I suggest you start with this video here, titled Speechcraft. It'll teach you the basics of how the human mind works and how governments and corporations utilize it to condition you. It's pretty mind-blowing if you're not familiar with the works of Noam Chomsky. After that, you should move on to the video titled Corrupt Capitalism. This is probably one of my greatest videos to date, breaking down the hegemonic ideology we know as capitalism and its goals of subjecting the world to its iron grip through imperialism while claiming that they're doing it for the sake of democracy and peace. Then you can watch this video to understand how corporations isolate us and try to turn us into slaves. These 3 videos should give you a pretty solid understanding of where to go afterwards. For those of you who are looking for book recommendations or even just want an accountability group or settling in an environment where you're more motivated to read, if that's the case, then you've got to join my Discord. I've got an entire library of my book recommendations from what I've read so far, which is only around 40 or so books. Even I'm just getting into it. But more importantly, in this Discord, we're going to come together every week for a sort of book club. You can click the link in the description to join it. For those of you who are Muslim and are looking for an Islamic server with other like-minded brothers and sisters, you can join the Discord community in the second link below. But make sure to verify yourself once you join. And with all of that being said, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.